All right, fellas. Gonna go over the basics on, not even the basics. We're just gonna go over how to understand companies, right? If you wanna trade something, you kind of have to get an understanding of what that company is, right? If you want to trade, let's say you want to trade, Walmart, right? Let's say you want to trade Walmart, and if you're not aware of what's going on with Walmart, let's say you look at the, let's say you're looking at the Walmart, let's say you're looking at the Walmart chart, and it's just, it's not showing, it's showing you that it might move up, but you don't, let's say you think that it's going to move up because it looks like it's going to move up, right? But you haven't seen the news on Walmart recently or anything like that, right? And little did Walmart is on its way to, let's say, bankruptcy, right? Even though the stock looks bullish, you don't understand how the company works and how it's, how everything is planned out, let's say, and you end up, buying calls or whatever, and then you just miss out on the news, and then you lose money, right? And you're like, oh, why did I lose money? It looked like it was going up. Well, you didn't, right? You didn't look up what is exactly going on with Walmart. Like for me, when I make the watch list, right? When I before I even, signal anything, I make sure I do my research. All right. I don't just look at Apple and oh, it looks like it's going up. Oh man, it's gonna go up tomorrow. No. I have to first, look up like Apple stock news, right? For example. And there's a bunch of fucking news every day on literally like all these companies, right? A lot of people overlook this, but it's kind of important because if a month ago, let's say there was news on Apple saying, hey, Apple CEO might step down, right? Well, everyone might overlook that news, and then until that CEO actually steps down and then they put it out there in public, that's when the stock price will drop, right? So you have to kind of, look up things to see, if they match your analysis. Does that make sense to you guys? Like look up news to see if they match what you see on the chart. All right. I do this all the time. Like for example, when I was looking at Boeing today and I signaled the swing, I looked up news first to see um if there's a good chance of it not being affected by any negative news, right? So there wasn't any negative news on Boeing that I saw that I felt like it could, bring the price down. And then when you guys want to look up news, there is literally like people are always like, like, what should I look at? Like, what website do I look at? All you got to do is just type in the stock. Everything's on Google. Everything. Okay, everything is on Google. Okay, just look up the stock. Look up, if you want to look up Boeing, right? Look up the name BA for Boeing, and then just type news after that, right? Like you can go on Google and then just type news, and then it'll show you all the recent news that's been happening on Google. Okay, let me show you guys an example real quick. Here, google.com. You guys can see my screen, right? BA News, right? BA News, Boeing News. Go to news, okay? You see all these news. Seeking Alpha is a good source for news. It's better than, to me, it's better than looking at freaking CNBC or Market Watch, right? So, Boeing's cash problems will linger for years. I don't really care about that. Just look up. Just keep, go to like a month back to see what's been happening, right? For example, see, there's no negative news on Boeing. It's just like just random news, right? BA crew who saved passengers. That's not really gonna move anything. Like this. This is important. All right, look at this. Look at this, guys. Look at this. So look. So there, you can see which hedge funds are dumping and which hedge funds are buying. Right, like this one. Burnick Wealth Management Ltd. purchases 131 shares of Boeing 6 hours ago. Okay, so why did they buy, right? Why did they buy 131 shares? Okay, so if you see, like for me, like when I was signaling HD a month ago, I saw a bunch of this. I saw a bunch of blah 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 purchases this, purchases this, purchases. So I saw that there was so many fucking hedge funds buying shares of HD, and there wasn't any significant news on HD. So I felt that like this one right here, reduces stake in Boeing, right? So yeah, you can see all these hedge funds. They have to report it, right? They have to put it out there on the internet. Like this shouldn't be someone asked, but if they buy shares, are they not going to sell off soon? You don't know that, right? You don't know that. Like this one, 21 hours ago, shares acquired. So these are like things that I look at before, like this one. Newport Wealth Strategies has $708,000 position in Boeing, right? Lake Street Financial raises stock holdings in Boeing, right? So you have look, Boeing shares sold by Town and Country. Evanston Asset Management, 19 hours ago, acquires 81 shares of Boeing, right? So why are all these hedge funds buying up the stock, right? If you look at this enough, right? See, Benchmark Wealth Management makes new investment in Boeing 13 hours ago, right? And then you have these people who sell, they sold this many shares, they sold this many shares. So if you can kind of get a ratio of how many, if you see more buying than selling, then, you can use that as like an indication like, okay, this might be a good swing, right? Of course, you're gonna get news that say people are selling. People like these stocks when these big banks trade them, right? A lot of them trade for long. A lot of them are holding this for long term, right? In expectation of it going up. Okay, and the reasons why they would sell, right, is because they don't think that it's gonna sustain itself. There's always gonna be people selling and buying. It's never gonna be like everyone just buying. Okay, there's always going to be bulls and bears. That's the whole point of this. Okay, the whole point is to figure out which side outweighs the other. All right. So getting started on this, how to understand companies, basic equity research. What does the company do to get a basic understanding of the business? Okay. If you guys can type, what does Boeing do? What is the main purpose of Boeing? Okay, airplanes, right? They create planes, right? It's a form of transportation. Okay, people want to go to another state, city, country, whatever. They have to go on a plane, so that's their business, right? Transportation. What do they manufacture, right? To know their products better, it helps us get a sense of the product's demand and supply dynamics, right? So Boeing, they make airplanes, right? And it's a transportation company, right? People buy so they can get on the plane and get to their destination or whatever, right? So how many plants do they have and where are they located? Okay, this isn't that important. To get a sense of the geographic presence, also at times their plants could be located in a prime location, and the value of such location could go off balance sheets, making the company highly undervalued. Okay, when you think about this, Tesla has plants in China. How much do you think labor is in China? Okay, so the labor is so cheap, right? That's why they're able to sell cars in China for cheap. When you have cars that are cheap, what does that mean? Okay, you guys know the answer to this. What does it mean when the cars are cheap? More sales, right? You guys are right. So people are going to buy these cars. First of all, everyone has a fucking Tesla nowadays, all right? There's no arguing about that. A lot of people have Teslas. I see a Tesla every fucking day on the street, right? More than 10, 20, right? So the fact that they're out there manufacturing in China and Germany now, right? So the labor is going to be cheap. That means more cars are going to be sold, right? It's going to be cheaper than if they manufacture here, right? Even if they ship the cars through by ship or whatever, right? It's still going to be cheaper. And the hype on Tesla is crazy. Tesla's basically, in my opinion, the future, right? So are they running the plant in full capacity? Gives us an idea of their operational abilities, demand for their products, and their positioning for future demand. What do you guys think the demand is for Boeing and for Tesla? Regardless of all the bad Boeing news, right? People are still gonna hop on the planes. People are still gonna hop on the 737 and if they want to go to Australia to visit their family, they're still gonna do that, right? The chances of airplanes crashing is still low, right? Even though it happened, right? It's still low. Even though the fear is gonna be there, people might get scared of flying in a Boeing, right? But would you rather fly in the Boeing or fly in the Delta, right? Which has a better reputation of, so what kind of raw material is required? Helps us understand the dependency of the company. For example, the raw material could be regulated by government, or the raw material needs to be imported. Either of which needs further investigation. Can you guys give me an example of a company that needs raw material from another country, for example? Right, Tesla. Right, all these companies, they basically need stuff from other countries to to produce whatever they need to produce, right? Who are the company's clients or end users? By knowing the client base, we can get a sense of the sales cycle and efforts required to sell the company's products. Apple. What's the client base on Apple? Okay, everyone in the world, right, basically has an iPhone nowadays. I'm not saying like everyone, but the majority of people, right? What other companies? Amazon, right? The client base on Amazon is ridiculous. Everyone buys stuff on Amazon, right? Alibaba, okay? So all these things you got to really think about. Like if you want to go long on Apple, right? You can, you guys know you can look up their balance sheets. Like you can look up, if you really want to get technical with it, you can look up how much they made last year, this year, or this quarter, last quarter, how much they're expected to sell. You know what I mean? So these things you really got to think about. I'm not saying, go full on, because, I'm not saying you become a freaking hardcore analyst on it, but it's better. It's better to be informed, right? It's better to be informed on what's going on with these companies, right? Because the more you know about them, the more you're going to be, the more you're going to be more comfortable in trading it, right? Especially if you guys, let's say, like for example, do any of you guys have a long-term investment portfolio? Okay, I do. All right, I do. I have money put in, invested into different companies that I think, right, based on my opinion, will prosper in the future. All right. You can also invest in stocks that give out dividends. Okay. So all these things, just because you're trading doesn't mean you shouldn't invest. All right. Trading is just a way to make money, right? Daily, weekly, whatever. But if you're investing, that's more long term. Okay. I feel like this is very important, right? I'm 22 years old. If I invest 20, 30,000 right now into all these stocks, like for example, Tesla, right? Amazon, all these names, okay? AMD, Nvidia, if I invest 20, 30,000 and distribute it through all these stocks, what do you think I'm going to get in return in 10 to 20 years, okay? So that's what I'm doing right now too. Other than trading, I have money invested in different things, right? So remember, since you guys are learning how to trade, or you guys are trying to get better at trading, also remember that you can always invest for long term. Okay, that's what people do, right? If you're already introduced to the stock market, why not invest for long term instead of just trading, right? Because who knows? Maybe your trading doesn't go well, and you end up losing money within a 10-year period, but you have money invested in the market, so that offsets that loss. Okay. Who are their competitors? Helps in knowing the competitors. Too many competing companies means margin pressure. In such case, the company has to do something innovative. Margins are higher if the company operates in monopoly, duopoly, or oligopoly market structures. Who do you guys think is the competitor for Apple? Who do you think their main competitor is? Samsung, right? Google, the same thing, right? So they're okay. The thing is with Apple and Samsung, they're like so highly compared with each other, right? But in my opinion, a lot of people are still buying iPhones, right? Because I feel like iPhones are easier. Like if iMessage, right? No one likes to text people when their message is green and not blue. Do you guys, do you guys feel me on this, right? If you guys text someone and their and their message thing is green and not blue, you're just like, why the hell do you have an Android, right? Like, you know what I mean? You can't FaceTime with them, right? If it ain't blue, we ain't friends, right? Someone just said that right now, right? Because you can't tell if that number is blocked or like what's going on here. You know what I mean? So that's one thing too about Apple nowadays. It's like everyone has it. Okay, and people have Apple Watches, AirPods, things like that. So I feel like Apple, even though it might seem tough right now in terms of competition, I feel like they can blow all the other companies out of the water because it's so you can you FaceTime with somebody on a Samsung, right? Can you if you have a Samsung and your other friends have Samsungs, can you FaceTime with them, right? So the hype on Apple is crazy too, and it just an iPhone just looks the way it looks too. It looks nice, and it's easy to navigate through, right? Whereas Samsung, if you buy a Samsung phone, they come with like 200 apps. 200 apps. It's like, what the heck is this, right? So, and then there's Apple Pay. You know what I mean? No one uses Google Pay. Who uses Google Pay here, right? You can't go you can't go to the Apple Store, buy an iPhone with with Google Pay, or you can't go to the store and use Google Pay. Okay, everyone uses Apple Pay, so understand that too. Who are the major shareholders of the company? I'm not bashing on Samsung, by the way. All right, if you have an Android, cool. I love Android. All right, Androids are dope. Who are the major shareholders of the company? It helps to know who owns the shares of the company. If a highly successful investor holds the shares in the company, then it could be a good sign. Okay, here's an example. You guys know Coca-Cola? Who has the most shares in Coca-Cola? Warren Buffett, right? He's always talking about Coca-Cola. All this, for the past 80 years, he's always talking about Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola this, Coca-Cola that. You know what I mean? Do they plan to launch any new products? Okay, this is an important part that I want to get to. Gives a sense on how ambitious and innovative the company is, while at the same time, a company launching products outside their domain raises some red flags. Is the company losing focus? Okay, if Apple, all right, if Apple started, okay, what is an absurd product that Apple could ever come up with? Do you think? An, someone said an Apple car, right? Like if Apple comes out with an Apple car, it's like what the heck? Like what's going on? You know what I mean? How are they gonna go? You know, how are they gonna go from producing phones to producing cars? And now they have to face the competitors, right? You know what I mean? So now they have to face Apple shoes, for example, Apple glasses. It just seems like it's like why are you guys doing all this extra stuff? Okay, when you just should just stick to phones, right? Stick to technology, right? So, or this is another example, right? Tesla, Elon's always coming up with brand new things. Okay, if you guys didn't know, Tesla is not all about cars. All right, they're about renewable energy. Okay, renewable energy, solar, right? They sell solar panels. It's not just cars. People buy solar from them, power walls, things like that, right? So if you guys didn't know, right, I feel like solar is the future. Okay, it definitely is, right? When do you got like okay, if you guys want to talk about this, talk about fossil fuels, right? Whatever. You guys think the world's gonna end up running out of oil sometime in the future? You know, we might not be alive when it happens, right? But how long do you think it's going to take for us to just now just rely on the sun, right? Rely on the sun to give us energy, right? In the future, okay? When do you think it's going to happen to where you know your car's batteries going to be replaced with solar batteries, and then you can just charge your car with the sun, right? I saw this TV show. It's called Black Mirror. In the episode where this girl was charging her car with solar. All right, she literally had like a pad and she put it on her trunk, and she had a cord and she plugged it into her car. So it was charging her car while the sun was out, right? It was called the Dark Museum episode. That thing was insane. I was just like, I was like, what is this? Like this is definitely the future, right? So understand that, things like okay, 100 years ago, who would have thought that we would have light bulbs? Okay, who would have thought that we would even have cars powered by solar energy or Tesla? Who would have thought that you just charge your car and not use gas? Okay, so understand these things. Okay, if you guys, especially if you want to invest in long term, I'm like I'm artificial intelligence, things like that, right? Technology is only getting crazier and crazier. There might be things that we don't even know about right now that they don't want to put out there into the public, right? Some information they don't want to put out to the public, to prevent like, chaotic responses, whatever. Okay. I don't want to get too into like, conspiracy theories, but I'm trying to prove a point here. Is the company manufacturing products that can be easily replicated in a country with cheap labor? If yes, the company may be sitting on a time bomb. Think about companies manufacturing computer hardware, mobile handsets, etc. Do they plan to expand to different countries? Right? Same rationale as above. What are the entry barriers for new participants to enter the industry? Helps us understand how easy or difficult it is for new companies to enter the market and eat away the margins. Okay, you have Apple, Samsung. What's the other one? Uh, what is that called? Huawei, whatever, in China, right? How hard do you guys think it's gonna be for a new phone company to just emerge and take over Apple and Samsung, right? It's gonna be damn near impossible, right? Who's gonna want to switch over from an iPhone to some new product that's everyone's just, how are they gonna convince everyone to switch from Apple to, let's say, whatever new phone company it is? Okay, so understand that Apple doesn't have that much competition, right? Apple should just keep going up from here, because who else is gonna step in to compete against Apple other than Samsung, right? Samsung and Apple are making good money, first of all. You know, you know how many people there are in this world. So, you know what I mean? They're not really, although they're competing with each other, they're both, there's enough money for both of these companies to prosper. All right. That's why they're making new products every single year. They're adding all this stuff, right? The way to approach looking at fundamentals, okay? Be reasonable. Long-term approach. IPOs are usually overpriced. So whenever an IPO is released, it's best to wait. How many of you guys have witnessed an IPO, right? Let's say there was an IPO. IPO is initial public offering, right? It means that this company, like let's say we all started a company called, let's say we started a company called Dedication, whatever, right? Whatever, right? Random name, but we started this company and it's whatever company it is, we decide to go public with it, right? Which means that people can now invest into our company. Okay, people can now trade our stock. Right now, our company has stock to give out to people to invest in. If you guys invest in our company, this means that we can buy up more shit, right? That means we can come out with all these different things, right? Because then we have money now, right? We have investors who are putting money into our company in hopes that our stock price will go up, right? How is our stock price going to go up? Well, we come out with new products. You know, it's going to target different people. We're all going to make this money, whatever, right? So whenever an IPO it comes out, it's usually overpriced. All right. So if we all start a company, right? If we all start a company and then we want, we want 10 million, right? We want to have 10 million right off the bat where people could invest in us, right? So if for example we start a company, we start our pricing at the highest we can get, right? Like let's say we start our company and we price it at $50 a share, right? So how many of these investors are going to think, oh, that company is worth $50 a share right now? Well, they don't even know like our capabilities, right? We haven't shown enough traction to show that we can sustain ourselves, within the next 5-10 years, right? Just like how artists, for example, all these different rappers, whatever, they come out with new music, but they only come out with like one hit song, right? And a lot of them don't even, they don't last, right? They don't last. They last like 3 months and then the hype dies down, right? Who listens to Lil Pump, okay, right? Who listens to, you know what I mean? Whatever, right? Designer, you know what I mean? The guy who tries to copy Future, right? So understand this, right? Like for example, Drake comes out with consistent music, right? He comes out with good music and everybody loves to hear it, right? So these companies, compared to companies, they're able to come out with things that are consistent and are profitable, right? Beyond has been taken off, right? They've been partnering with different, Dunkin' Donuts, KFC, Carl's Jr. So they're doing good, right? They're doing good. So understand that you have to kind of, if you like Space, right? Space. I have a lot of shares in Space, right? I think Space can take off because it's called Virgin Galactic, right? It's where people can go on and they can travel to space, but they have to pay like $250,000 for like 10 minutes, right? People are gonna pay that. Rich people will pay that, right? So I feel like, that's their selling point right now, right? Their selling point is taking people to space tourism. That's what it's called. So with that kind of technology, don't you think that they can branch out to different, different options, right? To the point where, average people can afford to do that, right? So understand that for me, I think that space has a lot of room to run. You guys know about space talk, right? It's called SPCE. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this, but SpaceX, right? The company that Elon runs, they're the biggest competitor to space, to Virgin Galactics, right? So Virgin Galactic is this, the ticker name is Space, and then there's SpaceX. Now you can't trade SpaceX. It's not it's not publicly traded. It's private. All right. So even though SpaceX is way better than Virgin Galactic, who's gonna how if no one can invest in SpaceX, what are they gonna invest in? Space. They're gonna invest in Virgin Galactic, right? Unless Elon decides to bring SpaceX public, everyone's gonna go to space and buy up Virgin Galactic. Okay. I don't know if he's ever gonna take that, take it public, but when you compare these two, they're competing with each other, but no one's able to buy up SpaceX, so they're just gonna go to Virgin Galactic. It's the same thing, right? It's essentially the same, but you can invest in it, right? So that's why space has been running pretty good lately, right? It's only in its beginning stages, right? You guys remember when Like for example, Shopify. I don't know if you guys were around long enough to see Shopify go from like $100 to like $400 in literally a month. Or like Tesla, right? Tesla was just at $300 like a month ago. Not even a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, they were at like $300, and now it's at almost 1,000, right? So if you're able to catch these pumps, right? These pumps, it'll be really good. Technical analysis. Technical analysis is based on a few key assumptions, right? One needs to be aware of these assumptions to ensure the best results. Remember that the market discounts everything. This tells us that all known and unknown information in the public is reflected in the latest stock price, right? All known and unknown information in the public is reflected in the latest stock price. For example, there could be insiders in the company buying the company's stock in large quantities in anticipation of a good quarterly earnings announcement, right? While they do this in secret, the price reacts to their reactions. The price reacts to their actions, thus revealing to the analyst that this could be a good buy, right? So think about this, right? When you have insiders, like people who are within the company that are, if you are part of Apple, if you're on the corporate level, you can buy up shares, right? It's considered like insider buying, but you can do that, right? So if someone buys up like a million, right? Why did they buy a million shares, right? So it's going to show in the stock price, right? Someone's going to find out that, hey, somebody bought a million shares of Apple and he happens to be, on the corporate level, right? So the how is more important than the why. This is an extension to the previous statement. Going with the same example as discussed above, the technical analyst would not be interested in questioning why the insider bought the stock as long as he knows how the price reacted to the insider's action. Okay. Number 3, price moves and trends. All major moves in the market is an outcome of a trend. The concept of trend is the foundation of technical analysis. All major moves in the market is an outcome of a trend. Okay, remember that. History tends to repeat itself. Number 4, in the technical analysis context, the price trend tends to repeat itself. This happens because the market participants consistently react to price movements in a remarkably similar way each and every time the price moves in a certain direction, right? For example, if you see, let me show you guys an example here. Let's look at shop on the daily. Oh man. Okay. You guys see a trend here, right? There's a trend right there. So what did it do today? Okay, what did it do today? You guys see how it didn't really touch the line, right? But it's literally right there. What do you guys think will happen tomorrow if you're looking at this daily trend, right? What do you think is going to happen tomorrow if shop opens up over here? Right, so we're expecting a bounce off of the trend line, right? We're expecting Shopify to go back up this direction, right? Now, what if we see shop tomorrow and it opens below, right? And it closes below. What happens if it closes below this trend line? Right now, if it does break below this trend line, it might create a new trend, right? So this is when support and resistance comes in hand, right? So when you're looking for support and resistance, I'm gonna go over this quick because I'm gonna go over this next week in depth, but I'm gonna show you guys how I make the lines really quick. All right, so now you have support resistance here. right? So look at this, right? If it breaks this level, if it breaks this trend, right? So that trend, if it breaks it, right? So now this becomes support, right? This is support. Okay, that's support. So you can also like remind, you can always put it right there, like remind yourself, this is critical support. Okay. So if it hits this level tomorrow, right, you can expect this to be to maybe, like, for example, sometimes when stocks break trends, it'll just go to the next support and it'll consolidate. Like, let's say it'll consolidate for the next 3 days, right? So let's say it's gonna do this, right? This, bounce off the top, bottom, bounce off the top, bottom, top, right? Let's say it goes like this tomorrow, in the next few days, right? So now it might look bullish, okay? It might look bullish, but what level, right? What does it have to break for it to turn bullish again? Like, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Where does this have to go in order for it to be considered bullish again? Right now, it has to go above this level for it to be considered bullish again, right? Because what can happen if it does go up here, right? It can get rejected hard here, right? It can always just get pushed the fuck down right after, right? So if it breaks a trend line, right? Always watch for it to consolidate sometimes, because it usually will, right? Only because there is a support here, right? If, let's say, let me show you another example, okay? Let's do some analysis real quick. All right, if tomorrow we see that it closes here and it only moves up like $4, right? Let's say it closes here. So let's say the candle is like this, right? So now this becomes support. Now, where does it have room to run to? Where does this have room to run to? Down or up? Now that it broke this trend line. Right? Now it has room to go from here, 460, all the way to this support. Right? So now we're assuming that if tomorrow ends up like this, it can go down here, right? And obviously retest this level. So now that becomes your new profit target if it breaks the trend line, right? This line right here becomes your profit target, right? Because it's support. So until it gets to this line, right, you should try to ride the wave down to the line. And once it does hit the line, you should exit, okay? Exit and see if it breaks lower, right? See if it breaks lower, or see if it bounces off of this line instead, okay? So that's just going over some, trend with you guys. For example, in uptrending markets, market participants get greedy and want to buy irrespective of the high price. Okay, what does that mean? Market participants get greedy and want to buy irrespective to the high price. Let me show you what that looks like. Look at this. Look at this insane drop. How many people you think bought Tesla near the end of the day because it broke this level and they wanted to swing it? This was yesterday, right? A lot of people probably try to buy into Tesla, right? At this level right here, like especially at this break and swing it, right? And guess what happened to their contract? They lost everything. Like, look, this thing dropped $100 in 4 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. It dropped a whole 100 from 970 all the way down to 860 in 4 minutes. Imagine someone that bought up like 10 contracts thinking they're gonna swing it till the next day, and then they turn off they don't look at their position, but then they look at the position right before the market closes and they see that their their whole premium is gone. Okay, so never buy at the top, right? Don't buy at the top. This thing's already ran like crazy. Look at this. Let me clear the drawing set. Look at how much this thing has ran. This is the weekly chart. This looks like Bitcoin. Let me switch this up real quick. Like, look at this. This is the weekly. Tesla was at, okay, look at this. In October 7th, okay, October 7th. Guess where this thing was at? The week of October 7th. Look at my price on the right. 226. Okay, 226, and it went up, what is it, $700? You guys know how insane that is, right? Look at this compared to let me see if I can pull up Bitcoin. How do you look at Bitcoin? All right, Bitcoin. Why is it not letting me look it up? Okay. Oh, it's not letting me. But I wish I could show you guys, but you guys know how Bitcoin chart looks, right? It looks exactly like this, right? It just ran up like crazy, okay? So Tesla doesn't even have support until about here. Well, here, 704, and then here, and then here, 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 okay? Then top here, 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 here. Okay, so that's the levels, right? That's going to be the levels we're going to use tomorrow. Okay, you can even go up here if you want to. The reason why I do this is because the fluctuation is so much that they might look like they're close together. Like if you look at look at the daily chart, you're like, oh, why are your lines so close together? They're really not. You know how much the difference is between each line? It's like $20. So tomorrow, like let's say, you look at the 1 minute chart and the market opens tomorrow, opens up here. So if it breaks above this level, right? What is this level? 743. Now you can buy calls and it has room to run to 752, right? So that's a $10 profit target, okay? And then if you want, once it breaks 752, you can, buy this here. And now the next profit target is 765, right? Someone just mentioned, Codemaster says, so it's like a floor. That's exactly what the fuck this is. It's like, there's different levels, okay? That's a good, I'm going to start using that. I'm going to start using that term, floor, right? So let's say Tesla is in between the first floor and the second floor, right? So this is the first floor. This is the second floor, right? Once it passes the second floor, you're going to try to ride that to the third floor, right? Once it passes the third floor, you're going to try to ride that to the fourth floor. If it breaks the first floor, right, now you're going to buy puts to see if you can ride it down to the basement, right? Once you hit the basement, there's another, like the underground levels, right? Trying to put some humor into this. So that's how profit targets work, okay? You guys see elevator of doom, someone said. So understand, okay? Understand that this is the best way to trade things, okay? Especially if you want to have a good risk to reward ratio, right? You want to create these levels, right? And the profit targets, people ask, what's your profit target? What's your profit target? What's your profit target? Listen, you can have your own profit target. All you have to do is just Look at support resistance. That's going to make your profit target. That's what it is, right? It's not complicated. It shouldn't be as complicated as you think it is, right? It's not complicated at all. Trust me. The only complicated part about trading is what's going on inside of your head. Remember that. All right. The only complicated aspect of trading is what goes on in your head, right? How are you reacting to price? For example, if Cynthia and Taylor both, if let's say I put a signal down, right? Let's say I say break above 200 for calls, okay? And Cynthia and Taylor both gets into the trade. And let's say Cynthia is the one that ends up making money, but Taylor ends up losing money. Why do you think that is? Can you guys give me some actual facts, right? Based on what you've seen or based on what you've experienced, right? All right. So let's say break above 200 for calls and Cynthia, right, takes the trade, takes the profit. Let's say the profit target was 201. Okay. Cynthia takes the profit at 201 once it hits. But Taylor decides to wait to see if she can make more money, right? Because she's not satisfied with what she's made. Right? Let's say they both get into $200 trade on this. They both get in at the same exact time, right? And when it hits the profit target 201, Cynthia takes profit and she takes a $50 profit. Okay, so she's made about what, 30% or whatever, to 20%, what I don't, it doesn't matter. But Taylor isn't happy with that $50. He or she sees somebody else. Let's say like you guys are in a trading group and you see someone else make $3,000, right? And you're like, oh, I want to make that too. So instead of taking profit at that 201 profit target, he, I don't know if Taylor's a he or she, but holds it, right? He holds it. And then what happens? Okay. Once it hits 201, right after it hits 201, it goes up a little bit and then it sells off. It sells off so fast that it goes down to 198. So what now? Taylor takes the loss, right? Because he wasn't willing to take the profit, like be happy with it, right? Profit is profit. Remember that. When you make money, that's that becomes your money. Okay, so treat it like that. If you make 2,000, that's your 2,000. It's not. You don't just risk it like crazy and give it back to the market, right? That's what a lot of people do. They make money and they give it back. Like, what the fuck, right? All that work you put into focusing on your entry and exit, right? You weren't happy with it, so now you're not using your system anymore. You're going based off of greed, right? So remember that. That's the most important thing. Anybody who's successful in trading can tell you that, right? So going back to history tends to repeat itself. In a downtrend, market participants wants to sell irrespective of the low and unattractive prices. And remember this, right? Buy low, sell high. But what happens when you are in the moment? All right, now I'm going into a little bit of psychology, so you guys need to listen to this, right? When the price goes down and you're in the trade, what usually, or not even when you're in the trade, right? If the price just ends up selling off, what's your first instinct, right? Oh, to ride the sell-off, right? Ride the sell-off. Oh, it's going to keep going down. It's selling off. And then what happens when you buy a sell-off and you buy puts? It goes back up. And then you're like, oh, man, I got caught in the fake out, right? So the reason why the market is so crazy that, I don't know if you guys know this, but every single resistance and support that happened maybe a year or two ago will end up retesting itself. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you find resistance or support that happened 3 years ago, it usually tests itself, right? Let me show you guys an example. This is Amazon, right? Let me show you guys. This is a 3-year. Let me go to 20 years and weekly, right? This is 20 years. So this was in, what is this? Okay, this was like 3 years ago right here. Right? Look at the tops. Right? Look at that. This happened 3 years ago. This happened a year ago, and this is now. You see how it hit the same exact level and rejects at the same exact level, right? So this is all based on, right? This is all based on the market participant fucking behavior. Okay, understand this. This isn't. It isn't. It's not. People are like, it's just. It always retests and it always retests and it's gonna reverse because it tested 3 years ago. But why? Why the fuck is it reversing? Right? Why isn't it going up? Because of market behavior. Okay, everyone think about mass psychology, right? If you see that it hit this level before, right? Let's say this never happened. Let's say we're looking back here, right? Let's say we're over here. Let's say we're going back in time and we're going to 2 years ago, right? We see this price action, right? Let's say we see this price action right here, and let's say we're at this week. So now we're like, oh man. So everyone who's looking at the stock is gonna be like, oh shit, it hit this level and it rejected, right? It rejected, boom, rejected again. What is people gonna think now? What do you think their consensus of Amazon is going to be for the next week? Bullish or bearish, based on what they see from last year? Bearish, right? So people are gonna start being fucking bearish on it, and look what happened, right? The next 2 weeks, it dropped $200, right? So they're just following based on the market reaction that happened last year, the year before, right? So now it's happening again. Now it's happening again, right? Now it's happening again. Now, understand this. You also have to understand this. Understand that, market cycles are different every year, okay? So this thing might break out. So what do you guys think is going to happen once this? So there is a range here, right? Let me take off these circles. There's like a range here. So what do you think is going to happen when it breaks above this range? It's gonna shoot the fuck up, right? Because look how many times it's tried to break, right? It's like an alcoholic at a bar getting tested by someone who's trying to bully him, right? The third time someone comes around and tells them like, hey, you're a bitch, and he's an alcoholic, right? What is he gonna do? He's gonna he's gonna take off on that guy, right? He's gonna go try to beat him up, right? His anger is gonna skyrocket, right? So boom, he's gonna release his anger, right? His blood levels are gonna be fucking, going through the roof, right? So I'm telling you guys this: Amazon, once it breaks this level, once it breaks this range, it's gonna go nuts, right? It already went nuts here from 1815 all the way to remember that. So understand that Amazon's at a critical level right now, and I'm gonna be looking to swing this once it breaks out of this range, right? Because even if we see Amazon run up $50 tomorrow, do you guys think that's enough? No, right? It's not gonna be enough. It's not. It should have more room. Because if you really think of if you really look at the bigger picture. All right, let me put this up to monthly. Right, 20 years monthly. Look at this. Oh my gosh. It's like looking at a vanilla ice cream and like let me make this range for you guys. Okay? This is important. Look at this consolidation period. Right? Amazon, even though it's a $200 range, right? Of here is 2058, and then down here it's about 1700. So like $200 to $300 range. It's still trading in that range. Okay, up, down, up, down, up. Right. So it's on the verge of a breakout. Okay, it's on the verge of a breakout. So I think that it can happen within this month or next month. So remember this. Remember when Amazon ends up skyrocketing, if it does, remember where you heard it first. I told you guys, right? So if you guys missed this move, I'm gonna fucking slap you guys in the head. Because I'm telling you guys, like, look at this, right? If you guys missed this move, send me your address and I will personally slap you. Okay? If it does happen, all right, guys, if it does happen. So, you know, just like how Tesla broke out and literally, everybody's accounts literally blew up, right? In a good way, right? This can happen with Amazon too. So don't ever feel like you're going to miss out on something because these things happen all the time. All the time, right? A lot of people miss out on Tesla and be like, oh my gosh, I missed out on Tesla. I'm going to go kill myself, whatever, right? So don't do that, okay? Don't think that you missed out on something because this thing's always happened. You guys remember Tilray last year? Look at this. You know how many people got rich off of Tilray? Look, it opened. This is a one day. This happened in one day. Even though I'm looking at a weekly chart, this shit happened in one day, right? Opened at like 100, it went up $200 in a day. In one day. It didn't happen after hours, guys. This shit didn't happen after hours. I don't know if you guys remember Tilray, it did not happen after hours. It happened during market hours. Everyone was watching this thing go through the roof. Like this thing went on the news midday because of how much it was running, and it kept running after the news too. So these things always happen. Don't try to catch the big moves, right? Try to anticipate when it's gonna happen, but don't just assume that it's gonna happen, right? You can kind of see like they leave. If you look at the chart, if you know how to read a chart well, there is literally breadcrumbs, a trail of breadcrumbs that you can see sometime, right? You can anticipate a big move like this. Amazon. Like I said, what are these? What are these candles like? What are these? Breadcrumbs. They're all breadcrumbs. It's leaving breadcrumbs. It's leaving a trail of breadcrumbs to the pot of gold. Okay? And guess what? Guess what else is kind of confirming that this might see a big move? Guess what else? You guys can guess. Volume. Boom. Volume. Okay? Volume right near the breakout. Right? Last time it tried to do this, look at the volume the last time, all right? This was the volume last time it tried to do it, right? Look at the volume here, okay? If you guys want to get real technical with this, I'll show you guys. Look at this. So this is the volume the last time it tried to break. This is the first time it tried to break. And this is the second time it tried to break right here. Right? This is the second time. You guys need to take a picture of this. I'm going to take a picture of it to make sure I don't miss out on this. Look at this. Take some notes. All right. So this is important. You know why? Because this represents the 2 weeks, right? The 2 weeks that it's tried to break. Okay. This is the volume. The volume was buying. It was buying volume, then selling volume, and it was here. The volume level was here, right? The second time it tried to break last year, the buying volume, and then there was selling volume the next week. Now you look at this buying volume the first week and the second week. We're in the second week right now. Is there any selling volume that you guys see? No, there is no selling volume. There is no selling volume. Whereas last time they tried to do it, selling volume, selling volume. There is no selling volume on the second week. So this just goes to show that there is a possibility of this fucking stock just, blowing everything out of the water yet again, right? Let me know when you guys are done taking a picture of this. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So, told you guys, look at Amazon next week or within the next month. It's gonna be a potential swing that might pay off. It all depends, right? It all depends on the overall market, right? Amazon can't. So understand this, right? The whole market, like the S&P 500, whatever they move as a whole, Amazon can't bring the whole market up by itself. Okay, Apple has to help, Microsoft has to help. Who knows the top 5 companies that basically run the market? You guys can type that. Right? Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook. Okay. So if Amazon is running, but Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Facebook are dumping, what do you think is going to happen to Amazon's market sentiment for the day? It's gonna be ugly, right? So that's the only thing that might prevent Amazon from blowing up. But looking at this, it definitely looks good. So always wait for confirmation. So where is the confirmation here? You guys, uh, tell me. Let me zoom this in. Where's the confirmation for Amazon? Right above is high. Okay, you can wait. Like, if you really want to be sure about this, you can wait until it breaks, until there's a full candle that closes above it. Right? Like, look at this shit. This is crazy. Look what happened today. It it went to the top of the range and then rejected back down. Right? But there, look at this. Right? This little wick right here. This means that there are buyers here. Right? Remember that. There's buyers sitting here. There are people buying here. So remember that. Going back to the slide. This is why support resistances always repeat themselves. You can create support resistance a year ago and it would work today. The open, high, low, close. The open, when the market's open for trading, the first price at which the trade executes is called the opening price. The high represents the highest price at which the market participants were willing to transact for the given day. The low, this represents the lowest level at which the market participants were willing to transact for the given day. The close price is the most important price because it is the final price at which the market closed for a particular period of time. The close serves as an indicator for the intraday strength. If the close is higher than the open, then it's considered a positive day, else negative. Of course, we will deal with this in a greater detail as we progress through the module. So, see this real quick. Amazon, looking at the 5 minute for today. So, open here, closed. So, open was here, bottom was here, close was here. It still closed below the opening price. So people are probably considering Amazon as bearish for now, right? So, but understand that there is buyers here. So what we might see tomorrow, again, is opening down, opening, and then here, and then, bounce off this level, and then boom, right? If something looks too good, sometimes it is too good to be true, right? Sometimes the market makers will drop the price only to bring it back up after everybody's out. The closing price also shows the market sentiment and serves as a reference point for the next day's trading. For these reasons, closing price is more important than the open, high, or low. The open, high, low, close prices are the main data points from the technical analysis perspective. Each of these prices have to be plotted on the chart and analyzed. So the takeaways from the last 3 slides. Technical analysis is not bound by its scope. The concepts of technical analysis can be applied across any asset class as long as it has a time series data. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to apply to stocks. You can use technical analysis on Bitcoin, futures, anything. Okay, real estate market, whatever. As long as it has a history of ups and downs, you can do technical analysis. Technical analysis is based on a few core assumptions. Market discounts everything. The how is more important than the why. Price moves and trends. History tends to repeat itself. All right, so we're gonna go a little bit on candlesticks. In a candlestick, the open and close are displayed by a rectangular body. So you guys know how the candles open and close, right? So, for example, let's see, look at 1 minute, right? For a green candle, the opening is on the bottom, close is on the top. For bearish, open is up here on the top and close is down here. All right, we're gonna go over this more next week into candlesticks. Let us look at the bullish candlestick. It is made of 3 components. The central body, right? Central body. The real body, rectangular in shape, connects the opening and closing. The upper shadow connects the high point to the close. So, for example, this bullish candlestick, it opened here, right? It went down here, right? And then it went back up here, right? Got rejected, then closed down here, okay? For bearish, the rectangular shape, which connects the opening and closing price, blah, blah, blah. Bearish opens up here. What happened in this bearish candlestick? It opened up here. It went all the way up here, right at the open, and then it got rejected. And then it went all the way back down here where buyers bought up, and then it closed in the middle. Okay? So this candle is an indecision candle, right? Because it went up and then it went down and it closed here. So it went up here, down here, closed here. This is monthly, the opening price in the first day of the month, the highest price at which the stock traded during the entire month, lowest price at which the stock traded during the entire month, the closing price on the last day of the month. It's if you look at a monthly chart on the year, it's going to show you 12 candles. Weekly is going to show you 52 candles, right? So if I go to the weekly, it's going to show me 52 candles, okay? When I go on the daily, right? 1 year, 1 day is going to show me 252 candles, okay? Because there's 252 trading days. 30 minutes, if you go on the 30-minute chart, it's going to show you 12 candles, okay, for the day. That's 12 candles, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? Intraday 5 minutes, the opening price at the beginning of the first minute, highest price at which the stock traded during the 5-minute duration, lowest price at which the stock traded during the 5-minute duration. The closing price is on the 5th minute. So if you look at a 5-minute candle, right, each of this candle represents 5 minutes of price action, right? This is 5 minutes of price action. Each candle is 5 minutes, and there's 75 of them throughout the day. Okay, so just because you get it, you look at a trade and it's barely on this first 15th minute, and you're like, oh, I missed out. Understand that there is like 60 other candles left to go for the stock. All right, Don't get too eager to get into something just because you want to make money. All right. Candlestick patterns, hammer, piercing line, engulfing bull, bullish harami, doji, inverted hammer. So this is bullish candles, bearish candles. All right. So I'm going to take a picture of this if you want. Print this up, post it up on your wall. Fucking, take a mental picture and just keep it in your head. Then this candlestick cheat sheets, you can also take a picture of this, take a picture of it, and then print it, whatever you want. Or you can go to this website right here down below. All right, guys. That was an hour and like 15 minutes. You guys enjoyed class today? If you guys enjoyed it, if you guys took a picture of it, tag me on Instagram, repost it. It looks nice when you guys take a picture of it during class. But hope you guys learned a few things. Excited for you guys. I want you guys all to learn how to be self-sufficient, right? Because that's the key here. You can't rely on somebody to make your trades for you, right? I know sometimes I feel responsible for a lot of people because I run a group and then I'm over here giving signals to people, but I don't want to feel like I'm responsible for everybody, for all you guys, because at the end of the day, you're getting into the trade yourself. I'm not telling you to get in, right? But I'm gonna feel bad if you guys, end up losing money because you guys. But at the same time, it's all on you, right? It's all on you. You take the trade. If you're in profit, take it. Okay? It's not my fault if people lose money, things like that, right? It's not in any group, right? Any group, like it's like when they give you signals or whatever, like it's all on you to take it, right? But always make sure, right? Always make sure that you are right. Always make sure that you are aware of what you're getting into and why you're getting into it. Not just because somebody told you. If I told you to go buy Amazon, be like, okay, ask the question, why am I getting into Amazon? Is it because Kevin said so, or is it because I also see something that looks good, right? Remember that. It's funny, but all right, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. Just thank you guys. Let me end this. I'm gonna upload it so you guys can rewatch this if you need to. Once Amazon blows up, you guys can rewatch this and hear what I said about it. You guys have a good rest of your day.